Jennifer Witt here with the Witt Law Group. Are you wondering, why has my criminal case not been charged? Or am I essentially free to go and the prosecutor isn't going to charge me? Well, stay tuned and I'll give you a couple of reasons why it might be taking so long. So were you one of those unlucky folks where you had interaction with law enforcement, maybe even arrested, and they released you, and you're wondering, will anything come of this? Am I actually going to face a criminal charge? It's a pretty uncomfortable limbo to be in, to not know, how will this impact my life, or will it not? Can I move on? And this, for us, is particularly misdemeanor cases where it's like, well, I was at a party, my friend and I were wrestling and got into this fight, but the neighbors thought it was real. They called the cops. And in fact, those many times have turned into assault charges, or just, really simple things like, yeah, I was pulled over, I blew an 03, I'm sure I'm fine, but I just wanted to call your office and see, should I be worried? Well, I'd love to say no, but the number of 03 and 04, 05 DUIs we have right now, I can't say that. I'm not really sure what the thinking is on this, even when you have blood draws come back and there's nothing else. It's just, an 04 DUI, and they'll proceed on those cases. So even if we can get the case resolved and it's a good resolution, you're still criminally charged. It's still affecting maybe your professional license, your security clearance, just moving forward in your life. Can I take another job? I'm in the military. Do I have to notify my command if something's coming down the pipe? And I would love to tell you, don't stress, don't worry. But we're in a really kind of strange time with a lot of different factors influencing when you're going to get charged. For a long time, I think most defense firms thought, it's COVID backlog and it's just gonna, trickle in. But there's kind of more to it than that. And I would say first and foremost, some counties and city prosecutor's office, they are busy. Maybe they're understaffed. But I also think there's some very selective prosecution going on. I think there, in addition to the staffing, you bring in new people, and at least in certain cities and counties where we are, they're kind of crippled. They can't make a decision. So cases that, 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, when we might have been in a prosecutor's office where things moved quickly. If you needed to resolve cases, you could resolve 5 cases in 15 minutes, just meet with the prosecutor and hash some things out. It's a big production for some of these, cities and counties, as well as their new attorneys. Maybe they used to move more efficiently and now it's just this backlog, and we are certainly seeing that. So even when they get new staff, it's and creeping along with the resolutions. They just, I guess, don't feel experienced enough to make a decision. But another factor is, in my opinion, and I think other people in the defense bar, certainly in Kitsap, where we are seeing the slowest charging. I have been a lawyer since 2000. I've never seen anything like this. And more importantly, it's not just the slow charging, it's the amount of cases. It's not like they're busier. On misdemeanors, I'm seeing 20 to 25% down from 2019. On DUIs, it's pretty significant. It's similar. Paulsbo, 50%. And granted, they're not in Kitsap District, but 50% reduction in DUI charging. It's just very strange. We have more population. We're busier. I know people are calling in because on my personal injury side, people are calling in and complaining and frustrated when things have happened to them and they want to sue someone. And so I know, I hear it constantly. Things are happening, complaints are coming in, things are getting stolen, injuries to people are occurring through other people's negligence or crime, and we're just kind of at a standstill. It's never been like this. So depending where you are, you kind of have to know the culture of what's happening. For us, at least what we hear is that the prosecutor is considering the public defense side of it. Can public defense pick up this many cases? If we charge 100 cases and 60 of them go to public defense, well, public defense already has too many cases. So it's this kind of really strange, thinking in my view, because what happens in that is that you have this, group of 10 or 20 people who would like to get their life back on track, and they're caught up in the prosecutor's concern of public defense cases. They're saying, hey, whether it costs me money or not, I want to know, am I charged, am I not charged? And I don't want to wait 2 years to know if wrestling with my buddy in the front yard at a party is now an assault charge and I'm going to lose my security clearance. These are things that people are entitled to know what's happening. So I feel you, essentially. I mean, I really sense your frustration. We're frustrated. I really thought, after COVID, things would get back on track. And in some counties they are. I mean, they're trudging right along, have the same charging numbers. They make decisions. Things are fairly efficient. Certainly we're seeing that in Thurston. Every once in a while you get kind of this, hiccup when someone new comes in and people adjust. But for the most part, Clark County and City of Vancouver, they're having the same numbers, if not more, in some categories, and they're moving along. It's just really for us, I can't speak to the east side of the state, but certainly on the west side, dealing with Kitsap and the cities around there, it's a really strange situation. And unfortunately, it's a high military population, so there are a lot of hiccups that come with that, where you're going to get moved, and where if you had been charged or knew whether you were facing that realistically, you could have done, evaluations and other requirements that the court would ask of you within the state of Washington. Now you're going to be deployed somewhere, moved to a different state, and then the charge is going to come a year and 11 months later, creating massive changes, problems for someone who really is a honorable member of the armed forces and would like to stay in, and could have had they been charged in a reasonable time. I wish I could tell you that you have a lot of recourse, but there really isn't much we can do. Maybe members of Kitsap County can do something about that. In terms of voting or notifying the county commissioners or something. I don't know if it's resources, what needs to happen. But for those of you who are just sitting there in limbo wondering, I apologize. I wish I had a better answer for you. But they, on most misdemeanors, it is 2 years. You are sitting in limbo for that time. Hopefully you're one of our clients charged in another county or city, and I can tell you, you're probably even in that limbo looking at a much shorter time period. If you're not getting charged in 6 or 9 months, certainly under a year, it's probably not happening. We can't make any guarantees, but unfortunately, even in the last couple of months, we've had a year and 10 months, a year and 9 months. I think we actually had one a year and 11 months, so just right up on the cusp of the statute of limitations on that crime. And I wish I could say they were really egregious and, oh my gosh, I see why you had to charge it. But man, the number of 03 and 04 DUIs that we are holding right now are mind-boggling. Why are you waiting 2 years to charge something like that? So I don't know what to tell you other than I really feel your pain. We monitor cases, and we have a lot that we're monitoring, and we usually, in years past, at the year mark, could kind of say, hey, make sure we have an updated phone number and email, but you're probably in the clear, and that's just not the case anymore. And it's very unfortunate. So, the point of this is, why wasn't I charged? Well, I'd like to say they're busy. Maybe the case wasn't quite as important, but the third reason probably is just kind of this culture that's changing in the criminal defense world and criminal justice in general. A lot of factors that really are that morph constantly and change when people are charged, why they're charged, which crimes they're going to emphasize. You see a lot of, certainly in Washington, the downplay on property crime. Now that's kind of coming back up because the public didn't like that. So, there's just a lot of changing going on right now. So the best thing I can tell you, if you aren't a client of ours and you're really anywhere, if you are wondering, am I going to be charged? Make sure your mailing address is up to date. Most courts will try to go to the last known address with Department of Licensing, or maybe the address if you were investigated that the officer used on the report, which can be really frustrating if that's not current. If you're a member of the military and you've been deployed or moved somewhere else, really frustrating to then get a warrant. But that is what's going to happen if you are no longer at that address. That's where your summons will go when you're charged. You can also do something, if you can find a firm in your area, we monitor cases. So if the, you could leave your contact information with us. We monitor it every week to see what the charging status is so that we can get in touch with you wherever you are. But again, we're only in Western Washington, practicing in a few counties. So hopefully you can narrow that kind of help down where you are. But otherwise, just keep checking on it and know the statute of limit. The problem with the statute of limitations on your crime is you may be assuming they're going to charge crime A, but they charge crime B, which may not have the same statute of limitations. In Washington, it's pretty much 2 years on the misdemeanors, but you never know. And certainly where we see DUIs, where there was an accident, maybe someone was injured, maybe not severely, but significant enough that the prosecutor bumps it to a felony. That's, you're looking at a different set of facts, different situation. Hopefully that's not you. But again, I just want to let everyone know the delay is not necessarily a good thing as it was before. It just can mean a lot of different things. And what it really means for you, if you're concerned like most people want to move forward with your life, you really are going to have to watch and be in touch with that court. And, and sometimes even that's an issue, which court, who will charge you. Talk to a defense attorney in your area where the facts, where the event took place, where you were investigated, and maybe they can shine some light on how to help you monitor that situation. So again, I feel for you. That kind of legal limbo is so frustrating and often just so ridiculous considering the facts of these cases, but it is a reality. So I hope that shed a little bit of light on this for you and at least makes you, aware of kind of some issues that are going on right now. If you are feeling like, gee, am I in the clear, or I'm being targeted? Why do I have to wait so long? There's just a lot of unknowns right now. So again, I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that, but it is what it is. So if you like the content, maybe not this particular message, but if you like the content and want more of it, please hit like and subscribe. And if you have an idea for another video, why don't you leave it in the comments below. Thank you.